Welcome back to KCCP. We had another Chiefs win. The Jacksonville Jaguars didn't have enough to get it done. Let's talk about it real quick. First of all, I am going to have Jamil back on probably on Wednesday-ish. We'll probably record tonight, and me and him will have a conversation. But we do pretty long shows, so I thought I would record just a quick reaction to the Jacksonville Jaguars game. I thought, for the most part, besides some weird stuff, the onside kick that they weren't ready for, the other turnover on special teams, and then the interception that was just Pat doing too much at the end of the game. Like, it was a mistake. He was just trying to make something happen and really didn't need to. Aside from those 3 turnovers and us losing the turnover battle and still really winning the game without a lot of pressure, it wasn't like the announcer said, man, it really wasn't a blowout. But it kind of felt that way. It kind of felt like it was never close. I don't ever feel like Jacksonville had a chance to win it. Even when they brought it back to 1 score at some point, like, I was like, okay. We're good. The defense. I want to talk about the defense. The defense played phenomenal. I am so proud of our boys. Nick Bolton. Man. Nick Bolton does not get enough attention. Nick Bolton does not get enough accolades nationally. He's not talked about enough. Nick Bolton is one of the best linebackers in the NFL. And for those of you that care, Nick Bolton should have a higher Madden rating. But Nick Bolton, the other guy I saw all over the field yesterday, and I've been seeing this for a while, Willie Gay. Willie Gay is even more underrated than Nick Bolton. Nick Bolton at least has some respect. Willie Gay, nobody talks about. And that dude just flashes all the time. And it's not really flashing when you do it all the time. It's flashing when you do it sometimes. Yeah, so he's not flashing anymore. Like, Willie Gay is really good. He's a really good linebacker. The linebacking core is fantastic. I love all the youth pieces. And you got to remember, Willie Gay is one of the older pieces on the defense. Him and Snead, and they're young. Willie Gay is in his 3rd season. So he's the old man of the linebacking core, you know. I don't know, man. I just love the defense. Juan Thornhill, I thought, looked pretty good. Snead always looks great. McDuffie looked really good. He had some coverages down the sideline there. One in particular that the announcers thought was a little PI or a little holding there, which I disagreed with, because if you looked at it, the receiver put his hand back first to kind of create that separation. McDuffie just put his hand up inside of there because you want your hands inside of the receivers. That's why they didn't call it. That was a no call. That was a good no call. And it was really good coverage. I really like all the youth pieces, like I said, man. And we got 6 rookies that are in regular rotation on the defense and play quite a bit. And that, for us to have a defense that's starting to shape up and look good with that many young guys on the defense is incredible. And it's kind of scary for the rest of the league, I would say, because what about when these guys fully grow up later in the playoffs, next year after a full off season? It's going to be crazy, man. And I'm sure they're going to add a piece or 2 next year as well. I mean, Frank Clark, let's be real, is probably not going to be back. So there's a real good chance that you draft 2 D linemen next year, because you need another defensive end, and you need probably a defensive tackle to start grooming for the eventual replacement of Chris Jones. And it's time to start drafting those guys because you might not hit on the first one. So, I'd say once a year you take a shot at a guy anywhere from the second to fourth round to eventually replace Chris Jones. Because remember, Chris Jones was a second-round pick, so you can get those guys in the second round. And there's a guy in the draft next year that I really, really like, but I don't think we're going to have any chance at drafting him. I think he'll be in the top 10, but we'll see. And I'll talk about draft stuff later on. It's too early for that. We still got a lot of football. The other thing I want to mention is the offense looked really good. Kadarius Toney is going to be a freak in this offense, man. You got to be excited about that. You got to be really pumped about Kadarius Toney. And the hit on Juju should have been a penalty. It should have been a penalty. I hope Juju's okay. We might miss him this week. We might miss him against the Chargers, and we really need him. But Juju's been playing great. It's awesome. But what we did get from that situation that you can take a positive away is that some of those guys down on the depth chart with Hardman out and Juju out, they were forced into play, and they did well. Justin Watson, he's been doing well when he gets time. Kadarius Toney played, and Sky Moore played, and they all looked good to me. So hopefully this will buy them some more rotational time. Noah Gray was more of a part of the offense, which I think was good, and Patrick Mahomes said he was going to be more of a part of the offense, so that was good. Travis Kelce didn't really have to do too much. I mean, he had one big, long catch that was amazing, but Patrick didn't have to keep going back to anybody. He was spreading the ball around. At one point, I think he had hit 9 or 10 different receivers. I don't know if he got above that. I don't know if he quite got to the 11 that he hit in the Tennessee game, but it was still impressive. So that's kind of my take on that. Good job, good team win. You should beat those guys, and it should look easy, and it was. It wasn't easy, but it looked easy, and that's the way it should look. So I assure you that's a tough football team. That's a good defense. I'm positive that Doug Peterson had those guys ready to go. So for us to execute the way we did and make it look like a nice, easy game on a noon time frame, that was good coaching. That was good playing, executing, everything. Everybody gets a good job from me. Those are my thoughts on that game. Real quick, before I go, what about, number one, that Buffalo Bills game? That was crazy. It was awesome to watch. It was great football. It was game of the year. It was very important to the Kansas City Chiefs because they are now in sole possession of the top of the AFC. And if they can just keep doing what they're supposed to be doing, and we're going into the best part of our schedule, meaning I don't want to say the easiest part of the schedule, but the more winnable part of the schedule. We made it through the toughest part of the schedule, 6-2, and now we're headed into the lighter, more normal part of the schedule that kind of everybody else has. It's I don't know, call it the Eagles part of the schedule if you want, because the Eagles had and have a soft ass schedule. So good job for the Vikings. It was a weird game. Definitely some weird stuff happened in that game. The safety at the end, and it turned out to be a touchdown and all that kind of stuff. That was crazy, man. Good on them. And Josh Allen throwing the pick at the end kind of sealed, in my opinion, like you can't, until he has another big moment and proves it, like you can't be talking about him for MVP. Which means, to me, it's a one-man MVP race. Patrick Mahomes is the guy. The other game I'll talk about is Niners-Chargers. Niners did us a favor and pulled that one out at the end. Chargers fall down, and we got them next week on Sunday Night Football. So, Chargers are still a good football team. They were completely depleted. They only had 3 defensive linemen at some point in the game on the roster that could go out and play football. So they got tired, and for some reason the 49ers didn't run the football, which was strange to me. So us being able to run the football and Isaiah Pacheco doing what he did, and of course McKinnon, they both looked good last week against the Jaguars. I'm hoping that we can exploit that against the Chargers next week on Sunday Night Football. We need to be able to do that. We need to be able to run the ball on them. We need to be able to keep them on the sideline. They're going to have a chip on their shoulder. That's not going to be an easy win by any means, by any stretch of the imagination. The Chargers, it's a rivalry game. We beat them last time in a kind of walk-off fashion. Broke their quarterback's rib cartilage. I mean, there's a lot going on there, man. They're going to want vengeance. They're going to be motivated. We are going to get their best game no matter who's healthy and who's not. Hopefully, I'm just going to be honest, hopefully Joey Bosa's not back yet, but he might be, so. We'll see, man. I will give a preview later on in the week of what I really truly think about the Chargers and what we should do. Until then, those are my thoughts. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for all the support for the channel. I appreciate you guys. I love hearing from you. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, all the good YouTube stuff, man. We'll see you next time. Be safe. Go Chiefs!
I'm still fly, I know. I'm still fly, let's go. It could all be worse, I could be a hater like you. It could all be worse. Clothes to make the man, but that poison's gonna chew you from the inside out. So right now, say it with your chest now, say it with your chest.